All right, we got to do the boxing.
3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the Grab My Banner Boxing Championship podcast. We are here getting ready for Grab My Banner Boxing Championship number 6, and we've got a lot of fights on the horizon as we get ready for this one. Now, we have some logistical things going on because I will be out of town this weekend, but I really wanted to make sure I got home the channel points betting for this week's event. So I will be moving it up to Friday this week. Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. 1 p.m. Pacific time is when we will start the open fight hour, and that is when we will be moving on with the thing. Most of the fighters are already ready to go, but if you're a fighter and you're getting ready to listen to this, or if you're somebody who's been watching from afar and you want to participate in the open fight hour, maybe this is a prime time for you, maybe not. Either way, that's when this one is going to be happening. Boys, let's go through the top 10 list real quick just to refresh people. We have I should have had this pulled up already. Let me go through this. Okay. All right, let's go through the top 10 list right now as it stands. Number 1 is the Coochie Lord. He is still holding on to his number 1 spot, and later on he will be challenging for it. He already has 1 title defense. Number 2 is Benny Boy 69. He's been consistently one of the best boxers. A newcomer to the top 3, though, is Midas. Midas is out there, and he's been balling out. He's been doing really well, had some good fights against BBOGR, Chicken, so he will be fighting as well this week. We've got Nexus Radiant sitting at number 4 and BBOGR sitting at 5. To round out the top 10, we have Cookie, Chicken Wing, Maddox, Tokir, and right now nobody is sitting at number 10. Now, Brian was supposed to be fighting this week for number 10. Unfortunately, because I had to move this up, he'll probably be at work and won't be able to fight, but Brian will still be very much considered for this number 10 spot.
Actually, what time is it at?
I'm going to start it at 1 p.m. Pacific.
1 p.m. Pacific time?
Yeah.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Let's see. I might be able to show up at the tail end of the boxing tournament. I want to say I get off work around 2:30-ish Pacific time. So if I rush home, I might be able to make it on for that fight. If I heard Ellen Cryptic was wanting to fight me for it.
There's Ellen Cryptic is available. There's a few guys, Sniper Goated, Farty Butts. There's a few guys out there who are down to fight.
All of them are chump change.
Well, we'll see about that. Either way,
Cryptic,
those are our matches.
Cryptic, do me a favor. Take care of my lightweight.
There we go. So we might see Brian in there. He gets off a little bit earlier this Friday. That would be sick, honestly. That would be sick. So let's get into some of the fights that we have scheduled here this week. And for the first time ever, we have a fully formed heavyweight division. Now, the way the heavyweight division is going to work out is probably going to be the same guys who are in the regular fighting ring, but their ranking is going to be different in heavyweight, considering different than their rank in the regular rankings, because heavyweight is a lot different. We have 2 heavyweight fights scheduled this week. Tokir and Benny Boy are going to fight each other both as Gibraltar in the first fight. Now, we've already seen them go head-to-head using the Gibraltars once before, and Benny Boy came out on top on this one. Obviously, Tokir is looking for a bounce back. He needs to have a bounce back after GMB BC number 5 because he struggled big time. So expect something coming from Tokir. What do you guys see in that one?
I actually really enjoyed watching the Gibraltar matchups, watching them play like through the bubbles and punching each other and everything and creating, what are those called?
The Venn diagrams.
The Venn diagrams, yeah. And then just fighting through the Venn diagrams is just sick.
Yeah, those are fun.
I think that's a very valid point. I think I still am not a fan of how they've used the shields on it. I think the shield is best used to block off that fence when you're pushed into a corner. That way you can't take any fence damage. But definitely, as much as I want to go for Tokir, we're talking about him going against Benny Boy here for that first fight. I don't see that happening.
Yes.
Benny Boy, he is one of our top fighters in the standard fights. I don't see that translating anything, or I see that translating very well to the heavyweights. Now, Tokir versus Cookie as a caustic matchup, I could see that being very interesting. Not opposed to it. Caustic's not my favorite matchup. I do like the Gibraltar ones a little more because of the clarity on vision, but it's still a very solid around there. Mm-hmm. I think that could go either way from what I've seen from Tokir. He's either very hot or very cold.
Cookie's also a really sneaky fighter. Like, he has some crazy strats that he pulls out and wins, as we saw last week. So, I mean...
Was Cookie the Revenant?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that Revenant play, that was nuts.
Mm-hmm. So then after that first fight, if I was a betting man, I would probably put some money on Benny Boy for that one. We move on down to Tokir and Cookie, who will be playing Caustics in the second and final heavyweight division fight. Tokir really wants to go for heavyweight here, and he could easily transition. It looks like he wants to put on a few pounds, move up in weight class, and go fight there. He's had his time down there in the lower ranks. He wants to go up. He wants to be number one in the heavyweights. I could see it happening because, anything can happen when you get a little bit more damage that has to be put out. But Tokir versus Cookie, if I was a betting man, I'd probably go Cookie on this one as well because Caustic fights are a little weird.
Caustic fights are weird. I feel like plays into Cookie's play style a little bit more, having barriers around and being able to play around things. I feel like Cookie's experimented more with different characters. Tokir's a little newer to the fighting, and like I said, Tokir's shown that he is green. He has highs and lows.
Yeah, Cookie also, he just has that strategic mindset where he just does like wacky stuff that you wouldn't expect and just comes out and wins. So, I mean, that's why I'm thinking Cookie probably takes this one.
So then we go into the top 10 ranking fights, and the first fight we have is a good one. BBOGR versus Cookie for the fifth spot. Now, Cookie's ranked 6th right now. BBOGR is ranked 5th, and I believe BBOGR beat him last time. But this is an interesting fight here because we've seen Cookie with the Revenant. He's dangerous, and we've seen BBOGR with the Rampart. Those are two characters who normally don't get used, and it's very weird. It's a weird matchup. Where would you guys bet here on this one?
I bet BBOGR. We talk about the Rampart with BBOGR. I know the Revenant is a very relative thing to compare to and things like that, but it's hard to prepare for BBOGR. Not only does he have the Revenant, but he also has that Mirage in his back pocket, and we've seen him pull out a Horizon, who's also a top-tier fighter. Mm-hmm. That Horizon can very well counter some of these things that the Revenant's doing. Same with the Mirage. And being able to dance around the shields and stuff, you could actually outweight that ultimate and try to take it from him. Mm-hmm. So if you can sustain that, you actually are sitting at a very good position against a Revenant who is lacking some of the other things that some of these characters have.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think that it's not as much of a current skill level that I would say BBOGR edges it out. I think it's a utility level. Mm-hmm. He has more tools in his kit.
Where would you bet on this one, Troy?
Baby Ogre has always impressed me with his heart. I talked about, in the last tournament, coming off of losses and then continuing to make sure that he kept his spirits in the game for his subsequent fights and then giving us some fantastic performances. So the Revenant was a lot more shocking when we hadn't seen it before, and now we have. And so I don't think it's going to have that same shock value factor. I think Baby Ogre knows what to prepare for. So the heart combined with the preparation and Revenant not being so shocking, I think Baby Ogre's got it.
Where do you got, Kyle?
I got BBOGR too, man. As much as I love Cookie and I love the Revenant play, I think you guys are right with just the utility in general. I mean, if you lose as the Rampart, you could easily just go as Horizon, boost yourself over, and use the Revenant ult against Revenant. And I think that using that against using utility that's much better suited to fight that is just all-time better.
Well, that, and it takes time. Where that Revenant ult seems to be getting placed early is over in the corner. It takes time to activate that, use it, or so to drop the totem, to activate the ability. That's plenty of time to throw a very well-placed Horizon ultimate to suck him out of the ring. Like, that's a very viable thing that you have to go against. And I think that just knowing that BBOGR has that Horizon in the back pocket could really hinder a Revenant play.
I would love if he didn't come out with Rampart as the main for this fight. I think he has a significant advantage with Horizon. I hope he implements it. I think Rampart isn't a top tier character. I think he uses Rampart very well, but I think that he always is at an inherent disadvantage with Rampart's skill set. And as he gets, as he takes more and more high level fights, I think Rampart is going to be less and less viable.
I'm not opposed to that. I do think that Rampart actually offers very good matchups to some legends. Depending on how the Revenant uses the ultimate, where he places it, we've seen him teleport outside the ring. Mm-hmm. And we know if you're outside the ring, you get a P2020 started to be fired at you. Rampart could actually excel at keeping him from coming back in the ring effectively, which is one strategy that could happen. The other things that you might be able to see with it, or with a Rampart as he goes up in the ladder. You start seeing Wraith, you start seeing some of these other legends, and sometimes just creating space, creating that boundary that you have to play around a little bit. If you're better at playing around that, that could actually really hamper somebody along the lines of a Bloodhound who's trying to be incredibly aggro and in your face. If you're able to get that little bit of extra space, it could help make up for that deficit. So I think the Rampart has some decent matchups. I don't think it's the best legend, but I think it's a matchup based, and being able to have that just helps prepare him more for whatever Cookie brings.
Yeah, well, if he does play the Rampart, I hope we see that.
So then we move on. Whoever wins this one will be taking on Nexus Radiant for the 4th spot. Now, can either of these guys beat Nexus? Is it possible for either of these guys to beat Nexus? I know it's been a while since we've gotten some tape on him, but Nexus was always one of the top guys in GMBBC. So do they even have a chance? Is there any way either of these guys have a chance? What do you think, Brian?
A chance, yes. Slim, I wouldn't bet on this fight. So the winner of BBOGR and Cookie will fight Nexus for 4th place. I just wouldn't bet that fight. I haven't seen enough film on Nexus recently. I remember him being a very, very solid fighter in the first GMBBC, and I just don't want to take any party in that fight. I don't know who's going to come out on top. I think it's going to be a split decision, regardless of how it works. But I would like to see for someone to make a move, or to see Nexus come out swinging to where we could see him start pushing more towards a main event card.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, what do you think?
I actually have faith in both BBOGR and Cookie. I think if either one wins the fight, they have a huge chance to beat Nexus. And that boost from winning the fight before, because it's going to be a tough-fought battle, is just going to push him over the edge and might be able to take Nexus down.
Any reason for that? Just he hasn't fought in a while?
He hasn't fought in a while. I really think that BBOGR really has heart, like Troy says, and he really has some really great skills. And then also Cookie he's just got, he's balls to the wall, man. He's got crazy ideas that he puts into action, and they work. I mean, he wins, and and he's one of those guys that wants to keep fighting. Every single time he gets in there, he just wants to fight. And, if you want to fight that much, I think eventually you'll get to the point where you'll just be, you'll have more knowledge than everybody else, and then you just win.
And Troy, what do you think?
Well, has it been 3 matches, like 3 boxing tournaments since we last saw Nexus?
2.
You have to acknowledge that the game continues to move on, and sometimes when you have an awesome fighter that takes a break, it's easy to forget that everyone else is getting better in the time that they're off. And so you remember them being fantastic relative to the other guys that are around them. But I think that everybody has continued to progress since the last time that Nexus fought, and both Cookie and BBOG are included in a major way. And so I think that really the question is whether or not Nexus has been doing any training in the off time, and if he hasn't, I think he's going to be in real trouble, honestly.
So the loser of that fight will then fight Chicken Wing. So the loser of BBOGR versus Cookie for the 5th and 6th spot. The winner plays Nexus. The loser fights Chicken. So now Chicken Wing. Either of these guys, does Chicken Wing have a chance against BBOGR or Cookie? Is that possible, Brian?
I'm sorry, Chicken Wing. Not quite yet, man. It's not that you don't have a talent there, that you're not good. You're obviously on the ranked list for a reason. But much like I've told some of the other fighters in this ranking before, it's not you. It's just the other guys are at a different level at this point. Not that you can't get to that point. I look very much the same way of the way I'm viewing BBOGR, or the way I would view Nexus trying to climb into that top level rank of Midas, Benny Boy, Coochie Lord, those kind of guys. I don't see Nexus being able to make that push. It's not Nexus. It's the other guys. Chicken Wing, I feel like you're in very much the same position, making it into that second tier of guys in that group. I think you're right on that gateway. You can make that jump, but I got to see something from you that you haven't brought yet, and you got to show it to me this week.
What do you guys think, Chicken Wing?
I'm in the same boat as Brian, man. I think Chicken Wing, you're a good fighter, but I think that you just need a little bit more oomph just to kind of push you over the edge, and I don't think you're there yet, man. I think you need more time in the ring. You need more time putting in time to fight people, and
He's missing that it factor.
Yeah.
It's that little thing. When we talk about these other fighters, BBOGR, we talk about the versatility that he brings. When you talk about Cookie, we talk about the strategies he brings. When we talk about Benny and Coochie Lord, it's not just how relentless and how little they miss. It's also how creative they have been at times. You have to have these qualities to make it to the next step, and you just haven't shown us that yet, and that's where I think that me and Kyle are having that issue. We need to see that come out of you.
Yeah, so now let's get to the main event. Coochie Lord has already had a title defense against Benny Boy, but they're going to go at it again for the number 1 spot. Coochie Lord won last time. Troy, what do you got on this one?
Man, I just can't wait. I absolutely love Bloodhound versus Bloodhound matchups. It's just, I think it's top tier, and what I really don't want to see is exchanges. I think that there was too many exchanges in the last fight, and I think that, when you're looking at a fight between the top guys, I think it's a little bit of a waste for it to just be determined on who edges out that first hit. I would love to see more use of creative tactics like we've seen from both of them before come out in this main event fight. And you got 5 rounds, so, you have the opportunity to try things out and see what your opponent is vulnerable to on a given day. So, I think it's too close to call. If I had to call it, I'd call it for Coochie Lord. But I'm just hoping that they don't default back to just the speedy head-to-head tactics where whoever tends to get the first hit wins the match. I want to see a little bit more creativity.
What do you got, Brian?
I mean, it's Coochie Lord and Benny Boy. These guys are a toss-up. I've seen them go back and forth. I think this is the 3rd bout they've had now, or they're going to have, and they're 1-1. It really is a toss-up between these two. But after watching the last one, who I think has the edge right now, and it's not by much, it's got to be Coochie Lord. If Benny comes out like he was, last time, I'm scared for him. I think Benny has a chance to drop to 3rd place. If he comes out like that again, he will drop to 3rd. But if he comes out and he is Benny, and he's the guy we have seen, that number 1 spot is his for the taking.
Yeah, and Benny had the unfortunate run-ins with the fence in that last one, but he did beat Coochie Lord in an exhibition match, and that begs the question, is the pressure a little bit too much right now? Because Coochie Lord's had pressure on him forever. He lost a bad match to Alerted Furball, who had just broken out the Octane strat, and then he lost a no reg, and we all saw that no reg. So it's Coochie doesn't really have that that issue where it's pressure affects him. It's more of just little things, more technical stuff. Whereas Benny Boy might have a little bit of that, the shakes when it comes to the pressure time. So we'll see what happens.
It could be, but we got to be careful attributing every mistake to pressure. Because mistakes do happen. No one's perfect, and it's very easy, especially when the ring isn't always identical every time. For you to misjudge where the fence is at. But if we see it again, then I think it's pretty fair to assume that it is the pressure. So I'm hoping that we don't. I'm hoping we see, a very clean match between both of them.
What do you got, Kyle?
One thing I got to say about these guys is these guys are brawlers.
Yeah,
they are brawlers. In and out, man. They go at it every single time, and they just ball out. And I think that, you know how big of a Coochie Lord fan I am. But, I think Benny, if he comes out with his head on, he could win. But if he doesn't come out with his head on like he did last time, he's going to get his head taken off, man. And the Coochie Lord's going to be number 1.
Once again.
Yeah, and the fight that I'm really excited about is this Midas one. Because, if either of these fighters drop down to Midas, I think, Midas is a strong up-and-comer, and he really wants the title.
Let me put it this way. If Midas, this fight, the loser has to fight Midas, there's a scenario very quickly where Midas becomes our top fighter. If either of these guys are just having a somewhat off day, if they don't bring their absolute A game, Midas will take it from them. Because I haven't seen Midas not bring that.
Midas
I've seen Coochie slip before. I've seen Benny slip. I've not seen Midas slip, and that's one huge thing for him.
Yep, so now we go down to Midas. Midas, you guys have already said, he has a shot here. He could easily, if whoever holds on to first decides to, he he could easily challenge for first if he's able to win that first match.
Yes.
I completely agree. Midas has a ton of potential, and like Brian said, we haven't seen him be off his game yet. So, there are some guys that are more consistent than others that have really, really high potential but aren't always able to bring it. But Midas seems to bring it every time. So time will always tell, but if we see him in the form that we've seen him previously, then I think he can beat either of these guys.
And then our last fights on the card here are just whoever wants to fight for number 10. So we've got Brian on the table. We've got Ellen Cryptic on the table. Who knows if Sniper Goated will show up? Who knows if Farty Butts will show up? All those guys are available getting ready to fight number 10. I know Palmer even had some, he threw out some emoji eyes, seeing if maybe he could fight for number 10. Now, Brian, we could talk about all those guys all day. I want all of us to talk about you and what strat we think you should run. I think you're best with the Pathfinder.
I think so, too.
Pathfinder is the one that I do enjoy playing. I think that I play Pathfinder better than anyone else in this league.
Ooh, I don't know. Maddox is pretty.
Maddox is good. Maddox is good. No. It's no knock on Maddox. It's not a knock on Maddox's skill of playing it. It's more of I've played with Pathfinder more. I've had more matchups against it. I know how he works against a Bloodhound compared to a Lifeline. Nothing against Maddox. Maddox might have more talent boxing. I think I have more experience. That being said, I don't know. I'm going to take the path.
Why?
I got a couple other guys in my head that are pretty strong candidates that I might take, and I'm looking at a possible Bloodhound.
Dude, Bloodhound I feel like gives you such an edge.
I'm thinking actually that I might keep Mirage in the back pocket and possibly a Lifeline in the back pocket.
Every time you play the Mirage, you always get shit on, not because you're bad, just because I feel like sometimes you focus too much on the utility of him and not the actual, like, oh shit, I still got to fight.
Not as much as that. It's the Mirage still in this format does have the get out of jail free card, and he's very good at coming back from a deficit. So if I'm going against someone who's a very fast aggressive and I'm climbing and I see that I might go down and leverage, Mirage helps equalize that by almost getting you a free hit. If they can't track you, it's a free hit on them, which helps neutralize that. Lifeline does something very similar with that. Being able to control the care package is a very valid thing you can do in this. So I might keep them in the back pocket. If I go against an Octane or something, you'll probably see me bring out the Lifeline because I can sustain faster than the Octane can.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going off who they pick.
You're going off good counters.
I trust my boxing, my straight level boxing enough to say I prefer the matchup. I feel like I'm comfortable enough with it, and I'd like to, looking towards my future, I'd like to show that I'm versatile in every legend.
Okay.
All
right, well, that'll just about wrap it up for the GMBBC episode number 3. Don't forget to tune in to the Twitch channel on Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, where we will be live getting ready to host the show. We've got number 6. It's going to be huge. Lots of fun fights. Also, we have the new mechanic where you can bet along with us. So if you have your channel points in the Grab My Banner Twitch, you can bet those on your fights. And then at the end of the show, I'll be asking everybody, what was your best bet? What was your worst bet? Just wanting to know what you guys bet on. So don't forget to do that. Also, if you haven't listened to episode 21, get on over and do that shit. We talk about season 8. We talk about possible team deathmatch. We talk about gambling. Lots of crazy stuff going on. What is that?
That's the new Twitch Prime skin.
Oh, a new Twitch Prime Caustic skin's out. Go get that. It's kind of cool. It's actually much better than the fucking shitty Wraith one that they just put out.
That's way better than Wraith.
Yeah, that one is god awful. Anyway, don't forget to follow us on all socials, all the fun stuff. We have the Twitter, the Instagram, join the Discord channel. All that stuff is available to you. And we're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So go ahead and head on down and like that for us as well. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.